Today I want to talk about a coin from the United States that looks normal, but is one of the most precious and rare coins many collectors search for. Most pennies in your pocket are only worth 1 cent, but some special pennies from 1982 can be worth thousands of dollars today. One of the rarest is the 1982 D Lincoln penny that has sold at auction for around $18,000 or more. This coin has become famous because it was made during a big change in how pennies were produced, and because some very rare mistakes happened that year which almost never happened again. The Lincoln penny has been made in the United States since 1909, and almost everyone has seen one. It has the picture of Abraham Lincoln on the front and simply says 1 cent. Most of these pennies are common and worth just their face value. But in 1982, something unusual occurred that created some of the most collectible modern pennies in history. In 1982, the United States Mint changed the metal used to make pennies. Before 1982, pennies were mostly made from copper. But copper became expensive, so the mint changed to a composition that was mostly zinc with only a thin outer layer of copper. Because of this change, the mint had to use new dies, change production processes, and deal with old copper blanks that were left in the system. This confusing mix of metals and date styles created several different versions of the 1982 penny. Some pennies from that year were made in copper, and some were made in zinc. Some have a large date, and some have a small date. Some were made in Philadelphia, and some were made in Denver with a little letter, D, under the date. Because there were so many versions, collectors pay close attention to every detail on each 1982 penny. Most are common and worth only small amounts of money, but some varieties are rare and valuable. One of the rarest and most valuable of all is the 1982 D small date copper penny. This is a penny that was struck in copper when it should have been struck in zinc. The Denver Mint was supposed to be making pennies from zinc at that time, but a few leftover copper blanks were accidentally used with a small date die. A die is the metal piece that stamps the design into the coin, and the small date is a slightly different version of the numbers in the year. This mistake produced a coin that was not supposed to exist. Because so few of these small date copper errors were ever found, it is extremely rare. Professional graders and collectors count only a very small number of confirmed examples. Fewer than 10 examples are believed to exist in major collections, and only a couple have been sold at major auctions. The rarity of this coin is one of the main reasons collectors value it so highly. Auction houses are places where coins and other valuable items are sold to the highest bidder. When genuine examples of this rare 1982 D penny are offered at auction, people who collect rare coins may pay very high prices for them. One example of this rare 1982 D small date copper penny was sold for about $18,800 at auction in good condition. This was not a listing price, but a real sale where someone paid that amount to own it. A second example sold for over $15,000 in a similar condition. These sales show that this coin can be worth serious money when it is authentic and in good condition. The auction value can vary depending on the condition of the coin. A coin that has very clear details, bright color, and little wear will sell for more than one that is scratched or worn. Coins in the best condition can be worth more than those in average condition. In some recent guides, the estimated value range for the 1982 D small date copper penny has been listed from about $8,500 up to around $18,800 or more for the best examples. Markets can change, but these figures show how valuable the rarest of these coins can be. It is very important to understand that not all 1982 D coins are worth big money. Most 1982 D pennies were made in zinc with the large or small date and are worth only 1 cent or a few cents in higher grade. One website that tracks common coin values says that the normal 1982 D Lincoln penny in average condition is only worth about 20 cents. And even uncirculated examples without errors usually sell for less than $15. These normal coins were made in huge numbers and are not rare. The rare and valuable coin is only the 1982 D small date copper composition penny that mistakenly entered production and escaped into circulation. To find this rare coin, collectors first check the date style. The small date has slightly different shapes for the numbers compared to the large date version. The next step is to weigh the penny. A real copper penny from that year will weigh about 3.11 grams, while normal zinc pennies weigh about 2.5 grams. This difference might seem small, but it is very important because it tells whether the coin is made from copper or zinc. Collectors also check the look and color of the coin. Copper pennies often have a reddish or brown tone, while zinc coins look slightly different. However, color alone is not enough to prove the coin is rare. Many copper pennies are common and not valuable. The date, style, and weight are the most important clues. If someone believes they have found this rare variant, the next step is to have the coin authenticated by a professional grading service such as PCGS or NGC. These companies examine the coin carefully, check its weight and composition, and certify whether it is a genuine example of the rare variety. Without this certification, buyers and auction houses may not trust that the coin is real or assign high value to it. Certification also includes a grade that describes the condition of the coin, which helps determine its market value. It is normal for people to get excited when they find a 1982 penny with a small date and a D mint mark. But many of these coins are common zinc and are only worth face value or a few dollars. Only those that weigh around 3.11 grams and have the correct small date style on copper can be worth the high prices we mentioned earlier. This is the part that makes searching for these rare coins so challenging. Other errors and varieties also exist for 1982 pennies, but they are not as valuable as the small date copper error. Some coins may have die cracks, off-center strikes, double die errors, or clipped planchets. These errors happen when something goes slightly wrong in the minting process. Depending on the type and severity, these error coins may be worth a few dollars up to a few $100s if they are unusual and attractive to collectors. But none of these are close in value to the rare 1982D small date copper penny. This rare penny is also important because it shows how even common coins like pennies can become valuable when unusual things happen in production or history. The year 1982 is one of the most complex and interesting in U.S. penny history because the mint was switching from copper to zinc and because it made many different varieties by accident and design. Collectors today study these coins closely, compare details, and look for differences that could make a penny more valuable. If you are watching this video and have a jar of old pennies at home, it might be worth checking the ones from 1982. Separate the pennies by year, check the ones with a D mint mark, and see if any have the small date style. You can weigh them if you have a small digital scale. If one weighs around 3.1 grams and matches the rare description, it could be worth having a professional look at it. But always remember that most pennies are common and worth only their face value. Coins are not only money but also part of history. They tell us about changes in technology, economy, and even mistakes that became precious to collectors later. The 1982D Lincoln penny that can be worth up to around $18,000 or more is one of those examples where a tiny piece of metal became valuable because it was so rare and unexpected. To sum up, the 1982D Lincoln penny has a face value of 1 cent, but some rare versions, made in copper with a small date, can be worth thousands of dollars. The most valuable examples have sold at auction for around $18,000, and collectors continue to search for these rare pennies. If you think you might have one, check the date, style, weigh the coin, and consider professional authentication to understand its true value.